40 seconds, what can we possibly do in that time? Dial someone's number, stretch for a moment, or take a few steps. Nothing much really, of course not, because 40 seconds is less than a minute. Barely any time at all, and yet 40 seconds was all it took for little Matsuoka Shinya to vanish without a trace from his family's embrace. Hundreds of people joined the search. Dozens of news reports covered the story. Thousands of tips poured in from across Japan, but the boy remained missing. No clue, no word, nothing. Could this really have happened? Join us in this story, The Boy Who Disappeared in 40 Seconds, and follow the heartbreaking 30-year journey of two parents desperately searching for their son. And as always, before we dive into the main story, don't forget to leave a like. Think of it as a little boost of encouragement for us. And if this is your first time here, it must be fate. Hit that follow button and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss any of the most iconic crime cases we cover. In 1989, Masanobu Masuoka, a 39-year-old software engineer, was living in Ushiku City, Ibaraki Prefecture, Japan. He had just switched jobs to a new company, earning 3 times more than before, and was deeply satisfied with his life, blessed with a kind, devoted wife and 3 healthy, adorable children. He never could have imagined that a single phone call would completely shatter that happiness and mark the beginning of his family's deepest sorrow. On the afternoon of March 5, 1989, a phone call came to the home of Masanobu Masuoka. The call was for Masanobu's wife, Keiko Masuoka. It was from one of her relatives in Tokushima Prefecture. Over the phone, they delivered heartbreaking news. Keiko's mother had passed away suddenly. Since marrying Masanobu, Keiko hadn't returned home in many years. The news hit her hard. She was overwhelmed with shock and sorrow. Masanobu immediately went to comfort her. He then requested time off from work. The next day, with heavy hearts, the whole family set off for Tokushima to attend Keiko's mother's funeral. After the funeral, while chatting with relatives, Masanobu happened to mention that he hadn't booked a hotel yet. Hearing that, the relatives warmly insisted that the family skip the hotel altogether and stay at their home instead. And so, on March 6th, the Masuoka family stayed with those relatives. Their house was built on a hillside in the outskirts, surrounded by forest and farmland. Aside from the relatives' household, there were no other residents nearby and nothing much to do in the area. On the morning of March 7th, the Masuoka family woke up early while Keiko was preparing breakfast. Masanobu took their 3 children, their 7-year-old daughter, 5-year-old son, and 2-year-old son for a short walk outside. But they had barely gone far when the kids started complaining that they were hungry and wanted to go back for breakfast. Left with no choice, Masanobu turned around to take them back. Because the relative's house was built on a hillside, they had to climb a set of stone steps to reach it. These steps were steep and tall. The older daughter and 5-year-old son could manage on their own, but the 2-year-old certainly couldn't make it up by himself. So Masanobu let the 2 older kids go up the steps first, while he followed behind, carrying his youngest son in his arms. This way, he could keep an eye on and protect the older 2 to some extent. When the 4 of them reached the house, the 2-year-old boy, Matsuoka Shinya, suddenly told his father that he didn't want to eat anymore. He still wanted to play outside for a little while. Of course, Masanobu refused at first, but Shinya kept insisting, and in the end, Masanobu gave in. He told his son to wait at the door for just a moment while he brought the older daughter and middle son inside to their mother. After saying that, he went into the house completely unaware that, by the time he returned, his son, Masuoka Shinya, had vanished from the moment Masanobu stepped inside to when he came back out. Less than 40 seconds had passed. He thought perhaps Shinya had tried to go down the stone steps by himself. Panicked, Masanobu quickly looked toward the stairs, but saw no sign of his son. Then it hit him. Earlier that morning, when he had led the children down those same steps, Shinya had struggled to walk even a few of them. There was no way the little boy could have made it down the whole flight of stairs in such a short amount of time. That's when Masanobu began to think his son might have wandered into the forest next to the house. He rushed in and started calling Shinya's name as loudly as he could, but sadly, there was no response. It was only then that the reality sank in. His son was truly missing, with no other option left. Masanobu called the police. After receiving the report, the local police and fire department sent out 100 people to search around the house. They searched all day but found nothing. The next day, they didn't give up. Instead, they deployed 200 more people to continue the search, yet the child seemed to have vanished without a trace. The Japanese police kept pursuing leads and questioned neighbors nearby. But apart from Masuoka's relatives, no one knew the family was even there on the day of the incident. Local farmers working in the fields also said they hadn't seen any strange vehicles stopping by. The Tokushima police also considered the possibility that the child had been kidnapped. So a recording device was installed on the phone of Masuoka's relative, but in the end, it captured nothing, although Masuoka never gave up hope of finding his son. Faced with his wife's grief and the fact that 10 days of searching had yielded no results, on March 16th, he realized that staying any longer wouldn't help much. In fact, it would only make his wife's pain worse. After that, he decided to return to Ibaraki Prefecture with his wife and children the next day, leaving the police to continue handling the case there. However, on that very day, March 16th, an unexpected phone call came to Masanobu's relative's house. At first, Masanobu answered, and on the other end was a strange woman speaking in the Tokushima dialect. Her voice rising at the end of her sentences, she said, "Hello, may I ask if Mrs. Masuoka is home?" Masanobu then handed the phone to his wife. The woman introduced herself as a representative of the parents from the local daycare and said she wanted to send a donation to support the Masuoka family. She also asked how to transfer the money. At that moment, Keiko asked to confirm if it was Seikei Daycare, the place where Shinya went to school. The woman on the line said yes. Then Keiko asked if her son was in the same class as hers. The woman identified herself as the mother of a child named Nakahara Mariko at the end of the call. Keiko said they would be returning home the next day and invited the woman to come straight to their house. The woman agreed. However, on March 17th, when the Masanobu family returned to their home in Ushiku City, Ibaraki Prefecture, the stranger never showed up and never contacted them again. In the days that followed, Keiko contacted the daycare, but the truth was, there was no student named Nakahara Mariko, nor had there been any fundraising or donations. When the Masuoka family found out, it felt like a bucket of ice water had been dumped over them. They believed the call must have come from the kidnapper deliberately trying to confirm where they lived. So Masanobu immediately contacted the Tokushima police, requesting the recording of that phone call. But strangely, ever since the Masuoka family left, the Tokushima police's attitude toward the investigation changed completely. By 180 degrees. Not only did they stop actively searching, but they even told Masuoka that the phone call recording had been lost. Though Masuoka felt deeply confused and frustrated by their behavior, there was nothing he could do. His once happy family was now spiraling into a completely different and darker path. To find his son, Masanobu quit his job, became self-employed, and set up a hotline to have more time and resources. He shared Shinya's information along with his phone number and aired it on TV 50 times, hoping that anyone who saw Shinya would contact him immediately. From that point on, many witness statements came in from all over Japan, each claiming they had seen Shinya at some point. In May 1989, a witness living in Tokushima Prefecture reported seeing a suspicious man leading a child who resembled Shinya on the pier at Bentenhama in Hiwasa Town, Tokushima. This was one of the ports frequently visited by North Korean boats. The witness knew about Shinya's disappearance and tried to get a good look at the boy's face to confirm it. However, the man quickly hid the child, and then both of them left on a white passenger bus in April 1990. A housewife in Tokushima Prefecture called Masanobu's relative's home in Sadamitsu Town, saying she was certain she had seen Shinya in town. She immediately went to the Tokushima police station to give a statement. However, when Masanobu learned of this, he quickly called the police station back only to be told by the officer in charge that the officer's own father had just passed away. So they only recorded the statement without giving it serious attention. That same year, 1990, another housewife reported seeing a boy who looked exactly like Shinya on TV outside a grocery store in Yonezawa City, Yamagata Prefecture. As soon as Masanobu received this tip, he went to Yonezawa and made large posters of Shinya's photo to put up around the grocery store and nearby Kamisugi Park. In 1998, in the Chugoku region, a video rental store employee reported that a boy with a wrist injury similar to the one shown in the age-progressed photo of Shinya bought a Titanic movie poster right after the employee handed the poster to the boy. The child held it up and looked toward a man dressed in typical Yakuza style, standing a short distance away, as if asking, "Is this poster okay?" The employee immediately informed the store manager. The two of them ran outside to find them, but couldn't locate the boy or the man. So they reported it to the police. However, this lead did not bring any useful clues. After decades of searching with no results, in 2018, a Japanese TV station produced a special program for people suffering from memory loss or those who didn't know their own identities. They participated in the show to try to reconnect with their families. A young man calling himself Hoten Ruto appeared on the program. He'd been found unconscious in a restroom of a shopping mall, Aichi Prefecture, on July 29, 2014. At the time, he was very weak and was immediately taken to the hospital for emergency treatment. Doctors diagnosed him with severe malnutrition. When he woke up, the police questioned him, but he was too weak to speak. Instead, he scribbled with a pen on a piece of paper, S61, and a line of Japanese katakana characters. This translated into Chinese as Wada Rujin, along with S61. According to the police analysis, S61 referred to the year he was born, Showa 61, which is 1986. However, as he gradually recovered, he told the police an even more astonishing story. He said that when he was about 4 years old, he traveled by car with his parents to the house of an uncle he didn't know. From then on, this uncle kept him confined in a room. Whenever he expressed a wish to go outside, the uncle would get angry and scold him. Besides providing food and shelter, the uncle showed no real care for anything else. Because of this, he never went to school and gradually forgot all information about his own name and hometown. He could only write a few characters that he had learned by watching TV. It seemed that the uncle didn't need to work, he just stayed home every day. Staring at a computer, about a year later, he suddenly had a toothache, and since the uncle couldn't do anything about it, he took him outside to see a dentist. He remembers it was around August 1997, and at that moment, the uncle told him he was already 5 years old and even wished him a happy birthday. That's how he knew he had been confined since he was 4 years old, and that he was probably born. In 1992, Hoten Ryuto suddenly saw a news story on TV about a missing child. At that moment, he realized the uncle beside him might be a bad person, and that he was actually being held captive at the house. From then on, he wanted to escape and secretly prepared to run away. For example, he secretly took some small change from the uncle's wallet. He remembers that day was June 28, 2014. The uncle happened to be out that day, so he ran out of the house with the money he had taken. As he left, he saw the word Hoten written on the door. That's why later on, he wrote the name Hoten. Once outside, he didn't know where to run, only that he had to get as far away as possible. As a result, after nearly a month on the run, he collapsed unconscious in a restroom at a shopping mall in Aichi Prefecture. The police were very surprised to hear his story. They wanted to catch the uncle who had imprisoned him, but no matter how hard they tried, Hoten couldn't remember where he had been held captive. For someone without an identity and no memory of who he was, the police were powerless. All they could do was arrange for him to volunteer at a community center to help him reintegrate into society. After the program aired, it didn't attract much attention until suddenly, an internet user posted a tweet saying that this case somewhat resembled the disappearance of Matsuoka Shinya 29 years earlier. Both vanished when they were about 4 years old while with their parents. Could Hoten Ryuto actually be Matsuoka Shinya, the boy who disappeared so many years ago? Right after the tweet went up, the online community exploded instantly. Some people immediately compared photos of Matsuoka Shinya with recent pictures of Hoten Ryuto and shared side-by-side comparisons. These comparisons sparked even more excitement. After viewers saw the images, everyone noticed that the two had very similar eyebrows and eyes. Then, the Japanese police contacted Masanobu Masuoka and asked him to do a DNA test. Just as everyone was anxiously waiting for the results, something unexpected happened. Another internet user tweeted that he knew this person, and so did many others. Could he actually be Kitazawa Nao, a well-known figure in the Japanese otaku community? Kitazawa Nao is a passionate fan of AKB48's Matsui Sekiko. At an AKB48 support event held at Nibudokan in 2012, Kitazawa reportedly spent 530,000 yen to buy 2,300 tickets to support Matsui Sekiko. This was also reported by Japan's Asahi Shimbun newspaper. People were stunned when they saw a photo comparing Kitazawa Nao and Wada Ryuto, and they were indeed the same person. By this time, the DNA test results between Wada Ryuto and Masanobu Masuoka had also come back, and of course, they did not match. Sometime later, the police once again released the latest developments in the case. An elderly couple from Mie Prefecture contacted the police, saying that this man looked very much like their son, so another paternity test was carried out, and the result was exactly as hoped. While everyone was overjoyed that Hoten had finally been reunited with his family, they also felt a deep sorrow that Masanobu Masuoka was once again left disappointed in his search for his missing son. In fact, some media outlets later interviewed Masanobu Masuoka and asked him, "Now that you still haven't found your son, do you feel any regrets?" His answer surprised the reporters. He said, "Actually, from the very first time I saw Wada Ryuto, I already knew he wasn't my son. So, 30 years have passed since Matsuoka Shinya disappeared. His disappearance remains a mystery to this day, in a house nestled in a mountainous area with few residents and no strangers around. The boy vanished without a trace in just 40 seconds. It's a strange case, and perhaps, until the boy is found, we won't be able to offer any reasonable explanation. What about you? What do you think about the possibility of a child completely disappearing from their parents' sight in just 40 seconds? Leave your thoughts in the comments below so we can discuss together. And before you go, don't forget to hit like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications to stay updated with the most classic cases